And then let's just take a few moments to center in. To find our breath and to see how we're feeling today. Maybe the arms are resting on the ground, on the floor, or maybe one hand is on the belly, one hand is on the chest. The knees can be bent or the legs can be straight, whatever feels right for you. Just taking a few slow, deep, mindful breaths. Centering into yourself. And the card I pulled today, the word was nurture. And it was a red clover, which is a very common plant that you'll see all over the ground in its many different forms. Red clovers, white clovers, green clovers. And the word was nurture. Clovers are actually very medicinal. So they nurture us as human beings. They nurture the animals. Livestock love to graze on them. But they also nurture the earth. They pull and fix in nitrogen back into the earth. And the meaning, the definition that you'll find of nurture is to care for, to protect, to feed when growing, like nurturing children, nurturing an idea, nurturing the body. So I guess in that sense, the clovers are nurturing when the farmers plant them in their fields before the next sowing season, to nurture and feed, protect the soil. So I want us to be inspired by that today. How can we let our practice nurture, to feed and inspire us, to protect our bodies? And what comes to mind when I think of nurture is love and compassion and patience. So perhaps before we begin, these last few breaths, can we cultivate those feelings of love, compassion, and patience? Can we fill ourselves up with that, just like we fill ourselves up with the breath? And letting go of anything that is not that, any impatience we might have with ourselves, any criticism, any harshness. Breathing in and just starting to feel and connect to love, compassion, patience, so that your practice may be nurturing for body, for mind, for spirit and heart. And then let's increase that inhalation with the arms reaching up and overhead, maybe the legs stretching straight if they were bent. So you're taking a big, big yawn. And then hug your knees into your chest. Pull them in tightly, thighs into your belly. Feel that nice release in the lower back. And maybe a little gentle rock from side to side. Letting the floor massage your back. Beautiful. And then let's make a bigger massage with your hands on your knees. Start to make those circles, draw circles in the sky with your knees. Couple times in one direction, then the other way, massaging all around the sacroiliac joint, around the gluteus muscles, the lower back. Perfect. And then let's place the feet down onto the floor. Have your feet just hip distance apart for the time being. Open your arms so that you have space. And we're just going to drop the knees over to the right. So little gentle spinal twist. The knees come over to the right and feel that nice stretch down that left side of the body. Inhaling, so the feet stay on the floor, knees back to the sky, and exhale over to the left. Nice and gentle, easing into the day. Breathing in, the knees come back to the sky. Exhaling over to the right. Inhaling back to the sky. Exhaling over to the left. And then breathe in, take the knees back up to the sky. Take your feet wider so that they're at the edges of your mat. And then drop your knees over to the right side again, and we're going to hold here. So by taking your feet wider, it should have enabled you to feel a little bit of a stronger stretch. But if you found that the stretch was stronger the other way, you can do that too. But here there's also the offer of taking your right foot on top of your left thigh. So it comes over and across that left thigh. Yeah. But again, if that doesn't feel good for your body, then just keep that foot on the floor. And take a few moments to really breathe into that left side. Breathing into the chest, the shoulders. And let every breath be nourishing, nurturing. Just one more breath here. And then place that right foot to the floor. Lift those knees back to the sky, to center, all the way over to the other side. Cross the left ankle on top of the right thigh if that feels okay in your body. And that just adds a little extra weight. And if you can, turning your gaze in the opposite direction, and that will help encourage the chest to spin just a little bit more. And then encourage your breath into that whole right side of the body. Making sure that this pose, the shape, is really serving your body. They don't always work for everybody. Sometimes it just takes a little creativity, a little inner wisdom to know how to change and adapt the pose for your body in this moment. Let's release that left foot. Take both of your knees back up to the sky. Walk your feet towards each other so they touch. And then drop your knees open. So opening the opposite direction. And then just close the knees again. So we're going to inhale as we drop the knees open. Exhale as we draw the knees in. One more time like that. Inhaling to open the knees. And then exhale, draw the knees in. Separate your feet hip distance apart. Knees still up towards the sky. The arms can even come back towards the body. And we're just going to arch and flatten the lower back. So we're going to nurture the lower back for a moment. So first, you're going to dig your sit bones into the ground. Your tailbone really gets heavy and your lower back lifts away from the floor. And then you're going to do the opposite. You're going to pull your lower back towards the ground. So you feel that your abdominal muscles are pulling in and engaging. Arch the lower back, dig the tailbone into the ground, not lifting the hips. And then flatten the lower back. There's a little tuck of the tail. A couple more times with your breath. Inhale, seeing how high you can arch. And exhale, how strongly you can flatten. Inhale, moving with your breath. And one more time here. And then the next time your back goes flat to the ground, hug your thighs as if you're hugging onto a cushion. They don't come together, they just hug in. And then start to lift your hips away from the floor. A little bridge pose. And then roll yourself down as if you could feel each part of your spine reconnecting to the floor, to the ground. Slowly, 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 patient. Inhaling, slowly lift. Reverse that order. Feel each spine as it lifts away from the ground until the weight goes all the way up to your shoulders. And then reverse. Like you're dropping a string of pearls. Nice and slowly, patiently, delicately. Let's do one more of those rolling bridges. Keeping those thighs hugging towards the center so the knees don't splay apart. Good. And then we're going to come all the way back up to the top. So pressing into the feet, lifting up the hips, all the way up onto your shoulders. Try to lift the upper back as well, but keep your neck nice and long so the back of the neck is lengthening. Chin more towards the chest. Then inhale, lift your arms, the arms up towards the sky. Take the backs of the hands to the floor above your head. Maybe lift the chest a little bit more. Exhale the hands all the way back to the floor. Waking up the back body. Inhaling, the arms come up and overhead. Exhaling, the arms come back to the floor beside your body. And go with your breath. Inhaling, the arms come up, lift up. Good morning, Philippa. Exhale, the hands come back to the floor. Good. And then slowly, slowly, slower, lower your hips. One vertebra at a time. And when you do get all the way back to the floor, just let everything rest. Everything kind of lay out. Then bring your feet together. Now drop your knees and we're going to stay here and hold. If this is still too tight for you for the inner thighs, the groin, if that's really still contracting, you can go back into the closing and opening just to help release those muscles. Good. Take whatever you need. And if you do have your knees open, think about what's happening in your lower back. Is your lower back really arching away from the floor? Is it possible to even just create that arch and flatten here for a moment? So you can really feel it and nurture the lower back. And then find what is neutral. What isn't too strong in either side of that spectrum. Take one more breath here. Perfect. And then we're going to pull the knees back in together. You can use your hands to help hug your knees back into your chest. A moment here just to release the lower back. And then we're going to slip our hands behind our thighs. We're going to inhale, straighten both of your legs as much as you can up to the sky. And then exhale, bend your knees. Let your heels drop back towards your bum. Inhaling, open the backs of your legs, stretch the legs up to the sky, and exhale, bend the knees again. Good. Then inhale, open both of your legs to the sky. Good. Doesn't matter how straight they get, and you can even let the legs go more forward away from your body if that's needed. And then you're just going to point the toes and flex your feet. Point the toes, flex the feet. If you want to open the hamstrings more deeply here, of course, the legs are coming closer to your body. Good. And then here, just make some circles now. Circle your feet as wide as you can, and then reverse and go the opposite direction. And then like you're doing a forward fold, you're going to try to hug those legs in as close to the body as you can, keeping your back straight. So you feel that big stretch through the backs of the legs. Beautiful. And then let's slowly release those feet back to the floor. Just a couple more movements before we come up to our seated position. We're going to cross the right ankle over the left thigh. Right hand is going to push the right knee forward and away to open up that right hip. And oftentimes we rush this movement, but it's really nurturing for the hip. It's really helpful for this right hip to stay open. So we're just going to do a couple of pulses here. You're going to push the right hand into the knee, let that knee fall forward, and then release it. So the knee almost springs back towards you. And then press the hand into the knee and release it. And again, push. So you're really opening. And then you'll feel that muscle draw back, recoils, it springs back. Push it away. Find that place that the knee is almost aligned with your left knee. Try to keep it there, even with your hand, as you pull the legs into your chest. And then I like to use the elbow of the right arm to kind of keep that knee propped open as I hold behind the left thigh. And if I'm feeling like I need something deeper than that today, I can even hold over the knee of your left leg. But all the while, notice what's happening with your right knee. Can you keep it propped open? Softening the shoulders. Patient with the body as it slowly opens. As the breath dissolves a little bit of that tension and tightness. The resistance that we feel in the hip. Maybe even a little rock from side to side. And again, just observing how the body feels today. Every day will feel slightly different. Sometimes we feel more flexible, sometimes we feel less flexible. Sometimes we feel no stiffness, and sometimes very little action is required to get into the stiff places. Good. Go a little bit deeper just for this last breath. And then take that left foot to the floor. Uncross, right foot's going to come down to the floor, to the ground. And then switch sides. Left ankle comes over the right thigh. Use your left hand to push the left knee forward. Beautiful. And then let that knee spring back. It just gently comes back in. And then press the knee open again, the thigh open. And then let it spring back. Last time, push the knee forward. And then let it come back. And then keep it forward, push it forward, pull the legs in towards the body, hold behind the right thigh, shoulders relaxed, the neck is nice and long, hugging the legs into the body. And the shoulders are nice and relaxed. Perhaps you're using your elbow to keep the knee propping open. And just check for yourself that your knees are aligned. So your right knee should be pointing directly up to the sky. Sometimes we tip over to one side, particularly when we find this pose is hard or we feel very stiff in the hips. And although you're using your arms a lot here to pull your legs into the body, try to just use the muscles of the biceps, of the forearms, and try to let go of the shoulders, so that there's not a lot of action happening in the shoulders and in the neck. One more breath here, just pulling in a little more deeply. And then we're going to release. Take the left foot all the way back to the floor. Both feet come down for a moment, just letting everything settle, relax. Then we're going to make our way up to a seat. So you can hug your knees in. You can simply just roll over to your side, or you can rock and roll yourself. So it's a nice opportunity to massage the whole of your back, to engage the core muscles, and then come all the way up to your seat when you finally arrive. Good. Then from here, we're going to take our right shin across, so the right leg is coming forward, and your left leg is going to come back and around, like a mermaid. And the right foot you can bring in close to this left thigh. Now notice here if this left hip is on the ground, probably a lot of you are going to be like this, kind of tilted to one side, that left hip is down. So for there, I would recommend using a pillow or a cushion and placing that underneath that left hip and then see if you can find a little bit more evenness. Good. And it might go under the right hip, it might go under the left hip, just see what you need. And then let's just take a few moments to rock into that hip. How's that on your knee, Anne? I can't actually see Anne. Where did Anne go? Maybe she's on. No, I can't see your mic. Your camera's turned off today, Anne. And Donna, this is okay on your knee here? Great. Oh, there she is. Hi, Anne. Good. So just rocking a little bit to make sure that we can get both sit bones on the ground. Then we're going to take a twist. So inhale, root into that left sit bone, reach the arms up and twist to your right. So you're going to take your right hand behind you. Your left hand is going to come across. So you're twisting towards the bent knee. Good. Try putting the pillow on your other hip. Good. Staying in that twist on the other leg too. Use your hands to help lift you up. Press the head to the side. Looking over your back shoulder. Good. And then slightly come out of that twist. You're going to lean into your right hand. So take your right hand to the floor. And then stretch your left leg out. Good. And keep that foot active. This is where we have an opportunity to lift ourselves up. And we do this pose quite often. But if that's not what you want to take, just take a side bend here on the floor. Or push into your right hand, come up onto the knee and the shin, and really stretch into that whole side body. Pushing into your left foot. Opening into that whole left side. Big, big stretch. And then coming all the way back down to the floor. Stay here. You might need to take the pillow or cushion away if you need that. Make sure your left hip is on the ground, and now you're going to turn towards the left leg. So your right foot is in and left leg is extended. Add a little bit of a bend, so lift that knee off the ground. Take your arms up. Feel that you're in front of your sit bones, and then as you exhale, you're going to fold. Coming into that forward fold. Inhale again. Let's lift up. Exhaling back into the fold. Again, the knee can be bent. That's going to help you come forward. One more time. Inhale. Now we'll hold it. So exhale as you come forward. Get comfy. Relax the shoulders. Pull the heart forward towards the foot. Pull your left hip back towards the end of your mat. And maybe the leg straightens more here, but maybe it doesn't today. Think about what's protecting, what's serving, what's feeding your body. And practicing from a place of nurture, compassion, rather than a place of forcing. Feeling the breath rising up from the lowest part of the spine, traveling all the way up to the crown of the head. And feel all of that length and space that it creates. And the exhalation is softening. A reminder to let go. Take one more of those deep breaths. Beautiful. And then we're going to slowly come all the way back up. And we're going to switch to the other side. So the left leg is going to come in. The right leg is going to come back behind us. Again, if you need any props there, prop under your sit bone. And then we're just going to take a few moments, rock into that hip and feel if there's any give there, if there's any tightness there. Eventually dropping that right hip towards the floor, even if it's not today. And if it doesn't really feel right, then prop yourself up. Maybe it's underneath the left sit bone. Maybe it's underneath that right sit bone. Then let's take our twist. Inhale the arms up. Feel the length in the side bodies. Exhale over to the left. Now notice when you twist, your right hip really wants to lift up. Try to sink back down into it. Staying as tall and as upright as one can. Looking over the shoulder. Deep breath. Good. One more breath there. And then we're going to come back to the center. Extend your right leg, lean over onto your left hand, and you can just take a nice little side bend here. Or push into the left hand, lift your hips and get deeper. And as you lift your hips, you're pushing your hips slightly forward, leaning the heart gently back, really reaching strongly through the arm, down into that right foot. And then come all the way back to your seat. Turn towards your right foot. So you might have to adjust those cushions. Start with your knee lifted. Find the front of your sit bones, reach the arms up. And then exhale, taking your forward fold. And then go right back up. Inhale, re-lengthen. Exhaling back into the fold. Good, one more time. Inhale, come out of it. Re-lengthen, find those sit bones, and then settle into your fold as you come forward. Relax the shoulders. Think of what's nurturing for your body. Sometimes it's not a deep forward fold that's needed. Sometimes just having the legs straight and leaning ever so slightly towards it is all we need to do. All we're looking for is to open that back of the leg a little bit more this morning, to bring a little bit more ease into those muscles of the hamstrings, maybe of the calf. If you pull on your toes, if you flex your foot, you're going to stretch your calf muscle here too. If you pull the toes back, flexing the foot. And the more these muscles are at ease and not so tight, the more lengthened they are, the less they pull on our pelvis, and the less we feel tension in our lower back. And our shoulders and our neck, as everything is really intricately connected. The tighter we are in our legs, the tighter we'll be in the upper body. Take one more big breath there. And then slowly release, come all the way back up. We're going to open up the left leg. Oop. Bring your hands to the floor in front of you. Maybe lift up your knees just a little bit so you can really feel the sit bones digging into the ground. Add a cushion or a pillow if you need that. And then you're going to start to tip yourself forward. And that might be to any degree that is available to you today. Close your eyes, and really, if you're not able to go forward, not a problem at all. Honestly, it's not. Take your hands behind you, push into your hands to lift up your chest. Close your eyes and just envision the inner thighs rolling towards the ground. That action in itself is enough to get that sustenance that we need from this pose. And just going as deep as you can. It doesn't matter how deep that is. Take one more breath there. And then slowly we're going to rise. Use your hands to pop the knees up off the floor to pull those feet back together. And then just wrap your arms around your knees. Let your body round a little bit. Let your head drop towards the knees. And then we're going to come up onto all fours, unless you have a knee problem today and you're going to stay seated, so you can do your cat-cows here. Okay, but other than that, we're going to come up onto our hands and our knees. Oop. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Both about hip distance apart. Inhaling to lift the chin, lift the tailbone, stretch the front body, and exhale, round the back. Curl the chin towards chest, curl the tailbone under. Inhaling to open, to lengthen, pulling the heart through the arms. Exhaling to round, rooting into the floor, through the hands, the shins, the tops of the feet. One more time. Big breath in. And a big exhale. Good. Then finding your neutral position, finding that tabletop. Beautiful. Inhale, the right arm is going to lift up to the sky, and you're going to draw the right arm across your chest. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. And we're going to take the right arm underneath the left, lie on top of the right shoulder, on top of the right side of the face. Use your left hand to actively roll the left shoulder over the right. Think about your hips squaring for you, and that's going to look just like this today to stretch the back of the arm. Holding kind of the forearm, the elbow, and keeping your arms shoulder distance, so maybe a little bit, yeah. Do you feel that across the shoulder? Great. So here we're lying on top of that shoulder so that we feel a nice stretch in the shoulder, in the deltoid muscles, but also we're getting a lot of nourishment for the spine, particularly the thoracic spine. And if you wanted to walk that left hand above your head, so the fingertips are on the floor above your head, if that helps you to open up just a little bit more to create space here, you can take that. And take one more breath here. And this beautiful twist. Slide the left hand down. Come all the way up onto all fours. Wiggle it out. Wag your tail like a happy puppy. And we're going to come into a downward facing dog between the sides. So tuck the toes, lift the hips, and rise up, opening into the backs of your legs. Marching out through the knees. And you can take this too, and bending the knees one at a time, letting your weight rock from right hand to left. Beautiful. And see if you can go a little more deeply into the backs of your legs. Lift your sit bones, lift the backs of the thighs, lift and open the backs of the knees. Keep that lift, and then from there, sink the heels in the opposite direction. But as your heels go down, don't let that sink your sit bones. Keep lifting your sit bones as you sink the heels, so you really get that opposite action. And then lowering back down to our knees. Take the left arm, reach it up to the sky, and then underneath the right. Land on top of the shoulder, on top of the side of the ear, side of the head. Use your right hand to roll the right shoulder back, so it's quite active. Pull the right hip crease back. The left hand is on the floor, and you can even use that left arm. If you push actively into the left arm, ground into the left arm, maybe you get a little bit more rotation. I personally like to keep my elbow bent, my hand near the left arm. It gives me more traction to get into the twist, but I know a lot of people like to take the arm up above the head. Fingertips to the floor, and then you can use that to open. I feel like this looks really pretty, it looks really good, but I feel it loses a bit of its function, for me and my body anyway. Your body might be different. Your body for sure is different than mine. Take one more breath there. Good. And then slowly unwind, unravel, all the way back up to all fours. Let's take one more cat-cow. Inhaling, lift the chin, lift the chest. Exhale, round the spine. Curl the chin to the chest. Tailbone tucks under. Come back to all fours. Tuck the toes. Lift the hips back into downward facing dog. Beautiful. And then let's walk our hands to our feet. coming to the back of our mat and then ending up in a forward fold. So keep the knees bent, let your weight tip forward over the legs, looking after your spine, looking after your back. Let your head go, let your head drop and get heavy. The arms are dangling here. Maybe even a little gentle sway from side to side. Beautiful. And then we're going to roll up, chin to chest, bend the knees a little bit more so your legs are active as you roll your body one vertebra at a time. Coming all the way up to stand. Lift your shoulders high to the sky, then pull them back and let them slide down, back into place. Inhaling again, lift your shoulders up to your ears, pull them back and slide them down. Beautiful. From here, inhale, take your arms up to the sky. Bring your hands to your heart. And then let's come into a tree pose. So the right knee is going to lift up. Pause here. Keep your gaze focused forward somewhere. And then from there, take the knee open. And as you open the knee, can you keep the pelvis forward facing? Then connect that foot. Maybe it connects up to the inner thigh. Maybe you're nowhere near ready for that yet today, and the foot's just going to come lower to the calf. Maybe the toes even go to the floor. See where you need to be. Root down into that left foot. Lengthen, rise up through the crown of your head. And then inhale. Perhaps it's possible to take the fingertips to the sky. Open the arms. Soften the shoulders. Let the breath nurture this posture so that you can feel that you're growing. Soften the shoulders. Feel rooted and grounded. And with each breath in, grow a little bit taller, a little bit wider, a little more expansive. Good. And then release your arms down by your side. Hands to your hips. Point the knee forward. Extend your leg. Pause here for a moment. Good. Little cheeky one. Point the toes and flex your foot. Can you do that 2 more times? Point the toes. Flex the foot. Can you lift a little higher from the thigh? Point the toes. Flex the foot. Keep it flexed. Take a big step forward. Land yourself safely. Now we're in warrior one. So the back heel spun towards the ground. Bend the right knee. Adjust your feet, your leg position if you need to, so you feel that you're in a warrior one that you're used to being in. Lengthen through the sides of the body. The more weight you send forward into that right leg and anchor into that back leg, the more you're going to feel that stretch through the legs. Great one for the calf muscle, Jana, as you asked earlier. When we're doing it right, when we're doing it well, that the weight is lunging forward and we're pressing oppositely into the back leg. Bring the hands together above your head. Look up towards your thumbs. Feel that stretch across that left hip just a little bit more. And then release the hands back, hands to your hips. Can you push off your right leg and bring your feet back together? Oof. Good. Second side, inhale, the arms come up. Exhale, the hands to the heart. Shift your weight over to the right foot, bend the left knee, lift it up. A little bit of pulling in through the lower belly, a lot of grounding. Open the knee, keep the pelvis forward facing. Connect that foot wherever it wants to be today, high in the thigh, lower on the calf, or even the toes connected still to the ground. Hug everything into center, into the middle of the body, as if you're hugging yourself. Foot hugs against the leg hugs back against the foot. Even the hands are snuggling towards one another. And inhale, reach up. As you reach up, keep growing down through that standing leg, through the foot. And then open the arms, open the chest, the heart, relax the shoulders. Nurture this pose through the breath, through taking deep and long breaths. And one more breath here. Maybe even a smile. And then we're going to point that left knee forward, straighten the leg. Maybe the hands come down to your hips. Point the toes and flex the foot. Point the toes and flex the foot. One more time, point and flex. Lift a little higher and then take a big step forward. Land your back heel and rise into warrior one. Arms lift up, lunging into that left knee. Send your right heel back and down. Feel that length and lift through the body. Feel again that your legs are really strongly working in opposite directions. One forward, one moving back. Rooting down to lengthen up. Like roots. Square the hips forward, the chest. Bring your hands together. Lengthen. Beautiful. And then bring your hands back down. Hands to your hips. Push off of your left foot to come back. Bring your feet together. Take a big inhale, arms up. Exhale the hands back to the heart. Again, pull your right knee up. A little bit of a balance. Open the knee, come into a tree pose just briefly. I'm going to do that sequence again. Inhale, the arms reach up to the sky. Grow, let the breath nurture this pose. Open the arms. Keep your arms open. Keep them above your head. Bring your knee back to center. Extend your leg, just the one. This time we're going to take a big step forward, and then we're going to spin the back foot so that we can come into warrior two. Take a moment to really set up your legs the right way. Knee is directly forward over the front foot. The back heel is kind of spun out just a little bit so that the pose is open enough for the hips. Good. Reach out from your heart, open through the fingertips so the arms are really active. Go a little deeper into that front lunge, front leg if you can. Then reverse it, the peaceful warrior. Reach up to go over. Exhale back into that warrior two. Inhaling, reach up, go over, reverse. Exhaling back into warrior two. One more time like that. Maybe a little deeper in the lunge. Inhale up to go over. Exhale back into warrior two. A little side angle, forearm to the thigh. Reach the left arm up and over. Press strongly into your left foot. Open into that left hip. And then let's come all the way up. Good. From here, let's spin the foot forward, your back foot forward. Bring your hands down to the floor. And then we're going to step the right foot back to your left, downward facing dog. Walk your hands back towards your feet. That we're coming towards the back of your mat. Into a forward fold. From here, let's rise up, arms to the side. Use your legs, chest lifts first. Rise, big breath. And exhale, hands to the heart. Take a full breath here. Maybe feeling a little bit more energized. And then let's complete this on the second side. Bringing our hands to our heart, opening our eyes, lift the left knee up. Open the knee, open to the side, connect the foot somewhere along the lower leg, upper leg, wherever it needs to be today. Focus your gaze. Then inhale, reach the arms. Open them. Feel the chest is open, the heart is reaching up and forward. Keep the arms above your head. Bring that knee back to the center. Extend the leg, getting ready for your big step. Boop. And then spin the back foot. Take a moment to arrange your feet as they need to be. Reach the arms strong. Feel your arms are just as strong as your legs. Good. Plunging more into that left knee, rooting into your right foot. 3 times, we're going to reverse it with the breath. Inhaling, peaceful warrior. Up and back. Exhaling, warrior 2. Inhale, here we go again. And you can always look towards your back hand if that feels good in your neck. And then exhale, warrior 2. One more time, inhaling, up and over. Exhaling, back into warrior 2. Beautiful. Tip over, side angle, left forearm to the thigh. Right arm reaches up and over the ear. Strongly reach through the arm as you push into your right foot. Push down into that left forearm as well so that you're not collapsing the left waist. Maybe a little deeper into that lunge. Beautiful. Come all the way up back into your warrior 2. Look forward. Cartwheel your back hand over and around. Spin the back foot. Downward facing dog. Lift the hips up to the sky. Ground into your hands. And then we're going to bring our knees down and just cool it all off in a child's pose. Maybe the hands are back by your feet, forehead to the floor. And taking slow, deep breaths. Maybe listening to the heartbeat. Notice how it's beating just a little bit faster now. Beautiful. We're going to take one more big breath there. And then slowly we're going to come all the way back up. Back into our seated position. Extend the legs out in front of us. Nice straight legs. We're actually going to start first by bringing our hands behind us, fingertips facing in. Roll the shoulders back, pop the chest open towards the sky. And maybe this is all we do, and I would just advise you to point your toes if you're here, pushing into those hands strongly. Or pointing the toes, is it possible to lift up? Lift your hips away from the ground, pushing into those hands, those arms. Keeping the neck nice and long, looking up to the sky. And then slowly lower down on your next breath. All the way back to the floor. And then walk your hands up. Flex your feet this time. Pull the toes up. Hands by your hips. Just moving through Dandasana for a moment to revisit this shape. Very nurturing for our posture, this pose. Although it looks like we're not doing very much, a lot is happening to stay and maintain this upright position. And if your hands come to the floor, not all do, just because of our body proportions, but if your hands do come to the floor and even fingertips, can you push down into the floor with your hands, not to lift your butt up, but there's a little bit of that happening. And imagine that you're standing inside of a door frame, small door frame, and you're trying to push your arms against that door frame. Keep that. Flex the feet. And that action shouldn't be 100%. You shouldn't be shaking, but it just is enough to feel a broadening across the chest. And then soften and release that. Inhale, take your arms up to the sky. Lift the knees so that it's easier to fold. Walk your sit bones back and then come into your fold. And even if that just looks like this and it's not very much, or you can start to shimmy the heels away and go as deep as what is nurturing for your body. And hopefully throughout the practice, you were reminding yourself to practice with compassion and patience. It's like nurturing anything. As it grows, there are stages that it's a little less than perfect. And that's when our nurture is needed the most. When I'm in my garden and I notice that a plant is perhaps dehydrating, it's wilting a little bit, that's when I need to nurture it, to feed it, to water it. If there are pests, I need to protect it. If we have children and they're going through difficult stages in their lives, perhaps maybe their teenage era, isn't that when they need the most nurturing and it's the most difficult? So if this pose is showing up to be the most difficult for you, perhaps it is the most or the most needed pose with the requirement of nurture. And then slowly let's rise, reach the arms up, just a little twist over to the right. Right hand comes behind you, left hand across the thigh. Use the hands again to help keep you upright. Left hand across the leg to help you rotate around a little more deeply. And then inhaling, arms up. And exhaling over. And then inhaling, take both arms to the sky. And exhale, release them by your sides. And that's the end of our asana practice. We're going to transition into the meditation side of the practice. And if you just need to lie down and take a shavasana, you're very welcome to do that too. So whatever you need to get yourself comfortable, maybe a cushion or a blanket underneath your hips. Maybe a blanket over the body if you're feeling a little bit chilly. And while you're settling in, I'm just going to read a few of these sentences from this book explaining the card of nurture. The oracle property of this plant is nurture, as the tender sweetness of clover can remind us of how to nurture those around us, and can also apply to the care and tending needed to sustain our own ideas and projects. Some situations in life require discipline, tenacity, and a strong will, and others can only be brought to fruition with encouragement and kindness. And this embodies nurturing the sweetness of this plant and shows us the joys of a harmonious home and family. So in some situations, as it was saying, we need tenacity, we need our will, our action, our effort. But in other times, it's the softness, the patience, the compassion, and encouragement. And that is all that is needed. Before we begin, let's just sit and cultivate awareness and cultivate focus. And always start by just tuning into your body for a moment to feel the grounding of your body against the floor, the earth, to feel the softening of your muscles, so that rather than protecting and defending, we are opening. When the body feels more open, the mind and the heart is too more open. receptive. And taking a moment to acknowledge and notice all of the distractions of our senses, sense of sound, smell, touch. And take a moment just to acknowledge them. And then let them go. Acknowledge the distractions that are going to arise from your own mind, the busyness of the mental chatter. And let that too go. And then start to focus only on the breath. Not just as a mechanical process, but as something really subtle, sweet, nourishing. There should be delight as you turn towards the breath. And there's a want to savor the breath as if it were a delicious treat. And the more you're in joy with the breath, the more the background distractions start to fade away. Or at least get less loud. Bring your awareness to the nourishment of the breath. And every time the mind wanders, just simply bring it back. Just like when we practice tree pose, there may be occasions where we fall out, where we wobble, but we don't give up. We simply just get back into it. Every time you drift out of your practice, don't give up, just get back into it. Go back to the deliciousness of your breath. And be patient with yourself. Is it possible to cultivate more patience? Maybe even slowing down the breath. Symbolic to slowing down. Patience is about time, not rushing. And can you stay soft and gentle? And as you nurture yourself with this practice, are there any words of nurturing that you need to hear today? Are there any words of encouragement that you need to hear today? And just like they say that if you talk to your plants, they will grow bigger, quicker, stronger. And just as the words that we say to children are so important, what are the words that you're constantly speaking to yourself? And is it possible just to say a few words of encouragement to yourself right now, even if it's just one? And then how can we go through our day and nurture others, our projects, our ideas? Take a few moments on reflecting and visualizing what we can do to be more nurturing to what is of value in our life right now. And if you find that tension creeps in just by the thought of that, relax, stay open, stay gentle. For nurturing should come from a place of love rather than a place of need or duty. Oftentimes, what we associate with nurturing, with feeding, with growing, comes from a place of feeling that we have to do it. It feels almost taxing. But what if we look to all of these jobs, even the smallest one, like making ourselves breakfast or making another breakfast? What if instead of coming from a place of duty that we have to do this, what if we come from a place of love, of real love and nurture? And how would that shift and change the energy? And take one more breath there. And a gentle sigh. Bring your hands to your heart. And then up to the forehead, the third eye. And then bowing those 2 points together, the head and the heart. And thank you so much for coming and joining us this morning. I am forever grateful every morning to see all your faces. Thank you so much. Have a great, great day. Well done, you. Namaste.